Alright, hello everyone. Welcome back to Commander Deck Profiles. I'm Ryan Sierra. This is part of my 7-episode series where afterwards we will see if this trial run amounted to something more or if it's just going to be a funny little footnote on my channel. If you're new here, I normally don't do deck profile videos and this is my first time and I'm always looking for some kind feedback to improve. If you're a returning guest, don't worry about it. I will be returning to the Marble It Up videos as well as some future podcast episodes, and maybe Bloons Tower Defense 6, or what? And of course, Dominion, because I'm a big Dominion player, which is a deck it's a game that's like, it's like reverse and inside out of TCG games. Instead of building a deck to play the deck, the game literally is a deck builder game. It's quite literally, it would be like if Tappedout was a game. Jared, but with Mana Rocks, because I loathe interaction. Alright, so if you know the Jared deck that came out as the Precon, basically this is that with a little bit more of like ramp in place of like anything that was like too countery or mean or whatever. Adla Polani, because she's in the original deck. Baleful Strix, because he draws. Beast Whisperer to draw. Bringer the Blue Dawn, because I love the draw. Chromanticore. Chromanticore, I believe, for the Bestow, I think. Although to be fair, I mean, he's also pretty great at being just a creature with Flying First Strike, Vigilance, Trample, Lifelink. Sorry, my Discord went off. Coiling Oracle, love that. Love that. Basically, you know, look for land or draw. You know, Consecrated Sphinx is a lot of fun because it gives me this ability. And quite frankly, I'm curious if Consecrated Sphinx should go back into my other Azorius deck, but I don't have a lot of ramp in that deck to really have too many high-cost cards like Consecrated Sphinx in there to make this like really work. Consecrated Sphinx says whenever an opponent draws, I draw 2 cards. So a lot of fun. Druid of the Anima. It's fun in this deck because, you know, I want to draw into more beatdown cards for my Painbow. Druid of the Anima basically is like a beautiful mana dork, and you need it in like 5 colors. Fabro Elder is a lot of fun. It gets 1/1 for each color among permanents you control, and then they become a mana dork for each of those colors. So they become a 5/5 that taps for Rainbow, or Wooburg, I believe it is called. Glintai Nephilim is a lot of fun. Because basically he says whenever he deals combat damage to a player, draw that many cards, but then you can discard a card and buff him up. So you basically, if you have a full hand, you discard that hand, you buff him up, and then, well, obviously pay that 1 generic, and then you hit him. If that goes through, you then recharge that hand. It's a weird, like, it's a clumsy mill, or a wheel. It's a clumsy wheel. Jared Cartholian is really only fun for getting that scry. I don't really tap him a lot to circumvent or to sort of recycle those colors. Because he's a color cycler. You throw generic or colorless to get 1 of each color. I've never used him to summon his brother, so weird. Then we've got Knight of New Alara. This card's based. Each other multicolored creature you control gets 1/1 for each of its colors. I have a lot of multicolored creatures in this deck, so my creatures are getting buffed. Maelstrom Archangel reads, deals combat damage to a player, you may cast a spell from your hand without paying its mana cost. That's fun! I never really see that going through, but that's fun. Mere Convert. Pay 2 life, have a mana, color. I think that they're tap pay 1, pay 2 life. I think I just have that in there to just have that in there. It was a newer card I got, and I just threw it in there. Nethroi Apex of Death, I believe, was already in this deck. Of course, you got to play him for his mutate cost, because when this creature mutates, return any number of target creature cards with total power 10 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it basically makes this deck not a glass cannon, because if you get board wiped, then you play Nethroi for mutate cost, and bring them all back and have some fun. Noble Hierarch basically taps for the things that I believe the other one didn't, unless that one tapped for black. No, it didn't tap for black. Okay. Interesting. They tap for all except for black, huh? Then we have Okagashi, Vengeful Kami. Deals combat damage to the player if that player attacks you during his or exhaust turn. Exile target permanent. Yeah, that's some mean stuff, for sure. Primordial Sage. Primordial Sage is a lot of fun, because The deck being a little creature heavy, I mean not super creature heavy, right, but a little bit. So of course what's fun about Primordial Sage is that this deck is not super creature heavy, but it's got a bit of creatures, and so for the creatures that come out, you're always going to be gaining or drawing. Now it's not about coming out, it's about casting. And the better card that does that when they come out, I believe, is Soul of the Harvest. Yes, when it enters the battlefield. Although to be fair, he doesn't synergize with Jared because Jared makes tokens. Alright, so then we got Rien. Other multicolored creatures you control get +1/+0. Um, you know, it's just a thing to have in there. It's a good buff. Whenever another multicolored creature return to its hand, this is a great way to actually get a creature from the grave back to the hand as well. Good stuff. Sadbot, they call him Sadbot. I was calling him Soulsim for a while, and people were like, "Oh, it's Sadbot." The whole joke is that he wants to die because he draws you a card. But he's a lot of fun because he basically is going to thin your deck of a land here and draw a card. So heck yeah. Springbloom Druid, getting those lands out. Because Springbloom Druid sacks a land and gets 2 lands out tapped, what you want to do is, of course, get, 1 land of one color, 1 land of another color, since you're in 5. Surak, Dragonclaw, he was just in the deck, and I didn't think that he was too bad. Thrumming Bird, I'm going to be real. I guess I'm putting that in to proliferate Jared, since Jared's a Planeswalker and all. Tiller Engine is untap that land. Because, I'll tell you why, I have a few Triomes in here, and you want to untap those Triomes, because Triomes, Two-Headed Hellkite is always fun. He basically, whenever he attacks, he draws 2 cards, so he's not even on combat damage, he's on attack alone. So I basically throw this Menace and Haste and Flying, so he can happen when he comes in, he can fly over creatures, and he has to be blocked by at least 2 flying creatures, or obviously creatures with reach. But unless you're fighting against like an Ore Dragon or something, people normally don't have that. So he he just deals 2 damage and then whacks someone for 5. So Zaxari Exemplar, I believe, is the one that says adds humanity color. It's a decent mana dork, sort of. I normally don't play it for its second effect. Abundant Growth, buffing up lands. Calling Heart Expedition, getting lands out. Maelstrom Nexus. I actually don't play Maelstrom Nexus a lot. I don't know cascading. Okay, I never got into Gruul, and I think Cascade is a pretty big Gruul effect. So, Mana Cannons is mean as shit. I love that. I love how technically speaking it says deals X damage to any target. So what? I can do it to other artifacts and enchantments. What is this? What? I can do it to the paper cup that's sitting on the LGS's coffee table. What? Path to the World Tree is a lot of fun because you use its last effect to basically, just do a bunch of dumb piecemeal stuff. Rites of Flourishing. For some reason, a lot of people don't know what Rites of Flourishing is, and I'm like, bro, what? This is... And the reason being is, of course, it kind of helps the whole table out, and I guess if you want to get ahead yourself, you don't play this. But it's fun for me. At the beginning of each player's step, that player draws an additional card, and they may play an additional land. So basically, draw 2, play 2 lands. Then, of course, we have a lot of different kinds of lands because, different colors. I really only have 10 forests because, I have a lot of green in my creatures. But, other than that, man, I mean, we got a command tower. We got Evolving Wilds to look for things, here's a Triumph that comes out tapped, so obviously, like I said, Tiller Engine, untap it. So Nomad Outpost, Aqualand Palace, Savage Lands. You need a lot of these Triumphs because you just don't, it's weird that I have 1 swamp, by the way. It's always weird. Because then, truth be told, the reality is Springbloom Druid actually can't get too many things other than a forest. Artifact, Arcane Signet, so here's all the things here. So I took out a lot of other crud in the deck that I thought was just kind of weird or expensive or a dumb tapped land in favor of putting the signets. Because, how fun is that to have all these signets? I mean, who needs lands when you got signets, boy? Idol of Oblivion's a lot of fun, synergizes with Jared very much. Draw a card, activate only if you made a token. Hey, Jared's +1 is what? Make a token. Kavu. Fun stuff. Yep, it's so many mana rocks, because we're in 5 color, and I got nervous. I was like, I need all these signets, because what if I get mana screwed in 5 color? Lesson learned, this is, all y'all better take note, this is exactly how I'd play an Ur Dragon or something, just a crap ton of dragons and a crap ton of mana rocks. Because 5 colors scares me. And then here's a bunch of ways in which we're going to try to get lands. That's a weird art for Diabolic Tutor. Explore, getting more lands, getting more draw. And then for each creature, that creature's controller pays 1 or sacrifices a permanent. Yeah. I don't know why I have this card. This is kind of mean. Or this might need to be in one of my other like blue decks. I don't know. Farseek, a lot of fun. Obviously, especially in this deck. Because Farseek gets everything that isn't like a plane or a forest. So it's like, green that doesn't get green. Iridian Maelstrom's like super mean. And it's awesome because, if you're playing against mono, such as my other decks, I mean, this totally just, Glass Cannon's mono, right? Because, Glass Cannon means that, it can pack a punch unless you interact with it, right? So destroy each creature that is in all colors. So obviously, that's just mean as hell. Kadama's Reach, getting those lands. Merciless Eviction's also pretty mean. I thought, yeah, sure, keep that in there from the pre-con. Migration Path, good stuff, good stuff. Rampant Growth, amazing. Razaket's Right. Why do I have that in here? And then Read the Bones. I think it's called like, Bone Oracle. It's an ancient practice in China. Draw a card. You may put a land card from your hand on the battlefield. Good growth spiral. Sort of a reverse of the Coiling Oracle. Harrow, good stuff. Harrow's obviously a lot of fun. Whole thing it says as an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a land. But what you can do is before you cast it, in theory, you just tap 3 lands to float 3 mana for seemingly no reason, and then you move to cast that card. So then you sack one of the lands that you've now tapped to float the mana. That's how you play around Harrow. Obviously, longtime players know that one. Soul Tie Charm. Destroy target, because floated mana goes away between phases, but not just, you can always just float mana, just have it during a phase. So, Soul Tie Charm, destroy target monocolored. Yeah, Soul Tie Charm's a lot of fun. I normally play it for the draw 2 cards and discard a card. Unite the Coalition's a lot of fun. I often try to play it as use the draw card 5 times. Like I try to play it as a draw 5, but of course by the time I get around to playing this card, people have done some bullshit on the board that I have to interact with, and I'm like, fine. So I'll just let's see, because there's the destroy target artifact or enchantment. So, you can use this as aggressively as you want. I try not to, but actually I'm often forced to. So you have forced my hand. And with that, that's my non-interactive Jared. So, hurrah!